Woo! What's going on, guys? Ernest Form coming at you guys today with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Detroit Lions. And, this is kind of like one of my what if videos. I've done these kind of in the past. Haven't done too many. But this is what if the Detroit Lions had the number one pick in the 2023 NFL draft. Who are we taking? Currently, we are number one in the draft. Right now, we have the number one overall pick. Things could change. We could drop a few spots. Carolina's up there, Houston Texans. The usual teams are up there, the usual bad football teams, and we're one of them. Okay? Now, this is not going to be a draft profile. I'm not going to sit there and go on and on and on about so-called players. Might say something about a little player here and there, but nothing. Not going to go into detail. That will be further on down the road. But as of right now, I'm going to talk about some weaknesses on this team, on our Detroit Lions, and then maybe some honorable mentions that maybe could go number one, but they won't. Like, I'm going to throw in a running back in there. I'm going to throw in like an off-the-ball linebackers. Something that Brad Holmes says that we don't need to draft early. He did find some nice linebackers later on down the road in grabbing a guy like Malcolm Rodriguez. Derek Barnes hasn't really panned out yet, though. But Rodriguez, he kind of hit on so far. 6th-round pick. But I'm going to name some guys. I'm going to go kind of like the honorable mentions, the guys that I don't really think we're going to draft number one. And the one guy that I'm going to mention right off the bat is running back Bijan Robinson from the Texas Longhorns. I know he won't go number one, so don't get all crazy and get all feisty and want to fight me. Just saying it's a guy that I really, really like. Bijan Robinson, he reminds me a ton of Saquon Barkley. Reminds me a lot of him. I'm not going to get into his profile, but we're moving on. I think we're personally moving on from Swift eventually. I really do. I don't think he deserves a second contract in Detroit. He could be a trade candidate. I don't know. But Bijan Robinson is a guy from the Texas Longhorns to keep an eye on. I don't think he's going number one, no, but it's a guy that I really, really like. Now, the next honorable mention but it could be a possibility, but I don't think it will. I'm going to go offensive tackle Peter Skoronski from Northwestern. I think he's probably one of the best offensive tackles in this draft coming up. And it's a guy I think that could shoot up. Right now they got him, I've seen him in most mocks, top 10. He's a guy that could shoot up come draft combine back in February, March, whatever that is. They seem to always switch it around. Peter Skoronski is a guy to keep an eye on. Taylor Decker is getting a little bit older in football years. He's kind of been hit or miss this year. He hasn't been terrible. I'm not going to say he's been terrible. But if you got to do a Skoronski with a Sewell, imagine that. I just don't think he goes up that high to number one. And another guy that I really like as offensive tackle is Paris Johnson Jr., the kid out of Ohio State University. Another Buckeye who's a really good offensive tackle. Not better than Skoronski, in my opinion, but it's a guy that you could keep an eye on. And then here's another guy that I don't think, two more guys that I think that won't go top 5 or anything like that, but guys that I really like at the position I think we're extremely weak at is linebacker Trenton Simpson, the kid out of Clemson. I think he's the best linebacker in this draft. Not a draft profile again, but I think he's a special linebacker, and I think we need someone to pair up with Malcolm Rodriguez. Alex Anzalone's got to go, or he can come off the bench. Anzalone should not be starting, in my opinion. He's a guy that is a really solid backup that could be coming off the bench, or say la vie, take it easy, have a good career, go somewhere else. And then Noah Sewell. Noah Sewell's another linebacker too. I know he won't go number one. The kid out of Oregon, Penei Sewell's brother. I think he's one of the best linebackers too. I think him and Trenton Simpson are both really good linebackers. Holmes won't go this route this early. I don't see him doing it anyways because it is too early for those type of players. I think because there's other really good football players coming up in this draft. But those are two linebackers to keep an eye on if we had that number one and if they decided to go that route. Now we're starting to get a little bit more, realistic now. Now I'm going to go to cornerbacks. Now, you're going to say, man, you're going to take a cornerback number one. That's absolutely insane. Yes and no. I think it is too. But the guys like, Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets getting drafted pretty early last year. I think he was like fourth or fifth. I forget when he went. A lot of people were like, whoa, that's early. Look at Sauce Gardner now. He's one of the best corners in the league. I'm not, and then you got guys like Derek Stingley, who Houston took, who's pretty solid as well. Now there's a guy named Kelee Ringo that I really like from Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia Bulldogs got that stacked defense again. He's a guy that I really like. I think he's one of the best corners in the game in college level. And then there's Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. If you guys are as old as me and remember Joey Porter that played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Miami Dolphins, a feisty linebacker. His kid, is a feisty corner for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Could he pair up nicely with a guy like Jeff Okudah? I don't know what's going on with Amani Oruwariye. It's kind of why I threw this in here too, because are they going to re-sign Oruwariye? I don't think he deserves to be re-signed unless he's taking a hometown discount. And who takes hometown discounts much in Detroit? I guess Tracy Walker did apparently, but he's kind of, he's nothing special as well. But he's a good safety. But those two guys right there, Ringo and Porter Jr., could they possibly go number one? I don't think so, but it's two guys to keep an eye on. Two guys that I really like a lot. And I will get into these profiles a little bit later on down the road, like I said. Just right now, I'm just kind of throwing names out. And you guys can look them up, do what you want, do your own studies on them. I'll be doing mine later down the road. Now we're getting to more realistic. Now we're getting into the realistic number one possibilities. And it's defensive line and quarterbacks, okay? Let's go defensive line first. We'll save the best for last. Get everybody's panty in a bunch. Twist it all up, okay? Now, defensive line, I think we got problems. We got problems all across the board, okay? We got problems all across the board. Now, the guy that I absolutely love and I think that could be a Micah Parsons type player is defensive end, outside linebacker, edge, Will Anderson from Alabama Crimson Tide. Absolute animal coming off the edge, plays the run, plays the pass, gets to the quarterback, does everything you want in a football player. Is probably going to be a top 3 pick. Should be anyways. He should be anyways. He's that special. And I think he's a Micah Parsons type player. And then you're seeing Micah Parsons excel in the NFL right now. People are going to look at Will Anderson and go, whoa. He's going to get drafted higher than what Parsons did. He's got no off-the-field issues that I know of. He's a good kid, and he's a hell of a football player who got robbed of Defensive Player of the Year last year in the country for college football, and they gave it to Jordan Davis. And I will chirp that until the day I die. He got robbed, that kid. Gave it to a run-stuffing, 33% snap, taken defensive tackle that plays 2 downs. It was the oddest thing ever. I just thought it was the oddest thing. Will Anderson deserved that, and hopefully he gets it this year because he's one of the best again. He's got 6 or 7 sacks. He's going to have double-digit sacks before college football is over again. So the kid is amazing. He's a guy that could go number one. Easily could go number one. Now we're going to stick with the D-line still. Defensive tackle, Jalen Carter from Georgia. Another Georgia Bulldog, another stud. A kid that plays the run and plays the pass. Gets to the quarterback from the defensive tackle position. 6'3", 315 pounds, whatever he is. He's a big kid. Moves well. Is very disruptive. That's all I'm going to give you right now. He's a kid that I absolutely love. Who could go in the top 5. Who I think is going to go in the top 5. Could he go number 1? I don't know. Javon Walker went number 1. Or Trevon Walker went number 1. Hutchinson went number 2. A guy like Jalen Carter that can stop the run, get to the quarterback, special. That's a real special player right there. Love him a lot. And then it's the guy that I don't think will go number 1, but I think is going to go probably top 10. Is defensive end Myles Murphy, defensive tackle. He's a big defensive end. He could go inside, he can go outside. He's from the Clemson Tigers. Look him up. He's a really good football player. Will he go number 1? No. He won't. But we need to get one of those. I think we need to get one of those defensive linemen right there. Anderson, Carter, or Murphy. I think we need to. We got 2 picks in this draft. One of them is going to be a quarterback, and the other has to be a really good defensive player. Now, you want to go defense early, come back up and get that quarterback, fine. Or you want to stay there, grab a Hendon Hooker, early, like a quarterback. A little bit later on, he could be there. But now let's go to the quarterback situation, okay? Now, we don't have a franchise quarterback here, not even close. Jared Goff is a bridge quarterback, and I think that's been the plan all along. Just my opinion on that. Time will tell as the season goes on. We'll see more and more and more. But this regime cannot pass up on a possible franchise quarterback. We don't have Patrick Mahomes here. We don't have Jalen Hurts here. We don't have Josh Allen here. You can't pass up on a potentially franchise quarterback if you have the number 1 pick, 1, 2, 3, whatever we end up with. I don't think we're going beyond 3. Now, it's quarterbacks here that I really, really like, and there's some that I'm not too sure about. Now, the guy I really, really like is Will Levis from Kentucky Wildcats. Now, people can say all you want about him not being this. He hasn't played a lot of good teams. He's lost a lot of bad teams. Kentucky Wildcats are not that good of a team. He's a kid that is a big kid who can run, big arm, big kid, athletic. Reminds me of Josh Allen coming out of college. Not the Josh Allen that's with the Buffalo Bills right now. Okay? He reminds me because he's raw. I think he's kind of raw. You know, plays in the SEC, though, doesn't play in a crap division or a crap conference, whatever. He knows football. This kid is got the intangibles, all the tools. Solid kid. Just a solid all-around quarterback. And I think he probably would be good sitting a year. But I really like Will Levis. And then I like Hendon Hooker, man, the kid from Tennessee Volunteers. And I think they play each other this week. Kentucky versus Tennessee. Hooker is, people, I'm not getting into his profile, but he's another big kid with a big arm, athletic, can run, can do everything you want. His age is a little bit up there at 24, 25 years old, whatever he is, but the kid is special. He's just a good football player. And then there's guys that I'm not too big on, but I do like Bryce Young on Alabama. He's a smaller guy, though. Kind of gives you that Kyler Murray feel. Smaller in stature. Specimen, running the football, special. Big arm, too. Good arm, accurate. But his size does scare me a little bit. And I don't think he's got the Kyler Murray mentality where it comes out about Kyler Murray being this guy that doesn't like football, doesn't like to practice, doesn't like to watch tape. That's all out there. But I don't know Murray personally, so who knows? Bryce Young, you haven't heard that. But you didn't hear about Kyler Murray coming out either. So who knows? But Bryce Young, former Heisman winner, could he be an option at number 1? I think he's a very, very big-time option at number 1. He just really is. And then CJ Stroud, a guy that I'm not huge on, the quarterback out of Ohio State University. But could he be that franchise quarterback? He's been pretty much a pocket passer at Ohio State. He's a big kid, too, with a big arm, really accurate. But he's got really good speed when he wants to run, when he wants to move around. He's been clocked at like 4.6, bigger kid. It's like 2.6, I forget his size, 6'4", 215, 220. So could he be that next guy? Could he be the franchise quarterback? Like what I'm trying to say is there's 3 or 4 possible franchise quarterbacks coming up in this draft. 5 might even get drafted. 5 might even go in the first round if you want to throw in Anthony Richardson. I don't think he's a top 10 guy, Anthony Richardson, but he's a possible guy. And I know CJ Stroud, Ohio State University, Ohio State quarterbacks never pan out. I get it. I'm not saying we need to draft him. I'm just saying there's 4 or 5 possible quarterbacks that could go number one. And I don't know the mentality of right now of what Brad Holmes is doing. I don't know the mentality. I can sit here and give you my opinions that I think Jared Goff is in the future. They could have a completely different look at it. Maybe they think he is, and they just go defense, which they need to do. They need to draft defense. This needs to be a majority draft defense. I think they're going to grab a quarterback in this draft, though. Maybe a tackle down the road, for sure a guard. And you don't really need to hit anybody else. You don't really need to go after that running back just yet, because you do have Swift for next year if you want to keep him around. But I do like Bijan Robinson. You don't really need to go after. You don't really need to go after wide receivers. You don't need to go after tight end early. You know what I mean? Even like you just really don't need to do that just yet, because you still got Hawk, even though they don't know how to use the kid. You still have him. You have some other players too at the tight end position. But quarterback is going to be a quarterback and D line and or linebacker is, I think, for sure getting drafted within the first two picks. Even if they have to trade up to get a defensive lineman or an outside linebacker, that edge, or they trade up and get a quarterback, or they draft a quarterback early and do the same with the D line, vice versa. It's going to be defense and quarterback defense. Those first two picks. I'll put money on it. It's just my opinion on it. I think they're going to go that route. There are going to be certain players here that people think deserve to be here that won't be here next year. Or if they are, they're coming off the damn bench. Get used to it, because it's going to happen. It's really going to happen. And that's it, guys. What do you guys think? Who are we taking? Number one draft. We got the number one pick. Quarterback, I think, is a must. D-line is a must. Linebacker is a must. We got lots of musts here. It's getting musty. But thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Don't forget the subscribe button in the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Get all my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. What do you guys think, guys? Go Lions. One pride. Boom.